What is up, guys? It's Zeps, and today for you, I have a little bit of a CDL kind of podcast, talking kind of thing. Very different from what I usually do, but I definitely want to start doing this more often. Kind of talk about the CDL, the insights, what I think about it. And it'll be definitely better when the season actually starts, so there'll be events to talk about, how certain teams did, stuff like that. So today in this episode, I'm going to talk about who I think will be the best team in the CDL, who I think will be the worst team, and where everybody else falls in between that. Before the video actually starts, I just wanted to say, go check out gamergoat.com. Use Zeps for 15% off of your purchase. This stuff is great, man. It really helps me focus before getting into games, stuff like that. It really gets my shot on point. So use code Zeps for 15% off of that. So if I hop over to my window here, I have the announced rosters that have officially been announced, plus some talks and stuff like that. I know this is from September 23rd, but this is the most accurate chart I could get. Plus, not much has changed. But yeah, let's get right into it. So first, let's just go down the line, talk about the rosters, where I think they'll line up in the CDL and stuff like that. So first, we have Atlanta FaZe, we have Abizi, Simp, Celium, and Arcides. So personally, I think they're going to be the best team in the league. I'm not particularly a fan of FaZe, but I mean, with that roster, how can they not be the top team? I know Dallas won last year, but what I think Atlanta has different this year is they have Arcides. So last year they were all kind of young guys. They didn't really have that leadership, that veteran leadership. But they did make a big pickup in Arcides this year. Plus, he's just a fantastic main AR. And then you got the duo Abizi and Simp. I mean, you really can't beat that. Two aggressive subs, man. And then Celium, I'm not a big fan of him, but you can't doubt how good this kid is. He's so good. He's such a game time player, such an X factor. He can really change the dynamic of a game. Just him alone. If he's going off, they can win events, which is scary. So I think they'll be number one, no doubt. Then comes Dallas Empire. So they have not much has changed. They just dropped Clayster, obviously. Hook, Shotzi, Illy, and Crim6. We saw what they did last year. They did lose Clay. And I'm not sure if Crim6 is the best main AR. Granted, he does have 3 rings, sure. That's awesome. But he did have Formal with him. He did have Clayster. He won another one at Complexity with that, with Clayster. I don't know. I just don't think he really sizes up to some of these other main ARs. I don't know. That's just me. But they definitely will fall in that top 3, top 4 team just because, I mean, Hook, Shotzi, Illy we saw is insane. I mean, he's ridiculous. It's still a great team, but I think Crim6 is that main AR. I think that drops him down a little bit, but not too far, obviously. So the next one is Chicago Huntsman. You got Envoy, Scump, Dashy, and Formal, and then you got General on the bench. This team, I mean, it can be a middle-of-the-pack team. I know that sounds crazy, but it can either be a middle-of-the-pack team or it can be one of the best teams, right? It really comes down to Dashy. So if Dashy has another Modern Warfare year, like how he played last year, middle of the pack. I mean, you do have Scump and Envoy and Formal as your main AR, but I think Dashy's that flex that's really going to put them over the edge. It really determines where they're going to be. If he has a Black Ops 4 year, though, these guys could definitely be one of the top teams, if not the top team, competing with FaZe. They can be really scary. I think it all depends on Dashy. Scump, he is in the later years, but I mean, he's good to put up a 1 KD almost every event, Come champs, you have Scump and Formal as those leaders, those people that have been there before. So I think that's a good thing to have. Dashy and Envoy still young, but Envoy really proven himself last year. He did so well in the Modern Warfare season. Yeah, they could either be a top tier team or the middle of the pack, all really depending on Dashy. That's my personal opinion. So then we have an odd one, right? We have Minnesota Rocker, we have Priesta, Attach, Major Maniac, and Accuracy. I don't see Accuracy as your main AR. This team's really full of all flexes to me. Obviously Priesta, he can run flex. He can run the AR. We saw that in Modern Warfare, and he can run the sub. So I don't know. It's just like a team full of flexes that can really run anything. So I think they'll be a middle of the pack team. Definitely better than what they were last year. They started tanking at the end of the season. I don't know what happened. They just fell apart. They were like a top 4 team until the end of the season. And then they lost, I want to say like 6, 7 events or maps in a row. Something like that. Something crazy. But yeah, they can. I think they'll be a middle of the pack team. I don't think they'll be up there for some of the best teams. But they'll definitely do well, but not like Seattle Surge, Paris Legion bad this year. So then talking about Seattle Surge, you got Prestini, Looney, Gunless, and Octane. Octane is the best AR in the game, hands down. That's what I say. That's my opinion. It's hard to argue that. He's just unreal. Even when his team was doing bad last year, he was putting up something insane, like a 1.2 KD or something like that. Just insane. But the only problem I have with this is Octane and Gunless potentially butting heads, but that's where Looney comes in. Looney has played with Gunless. He has won a champ with Gunless. He kind of almost like levels him down, so maybe that'll help out with the chemistry. And then you have Prestini as a sub. Now, I don't know. I don't think he can really slay, and I don't think really Looney can slay out. I think they're two kind of go in first kind of guys, slower submachine guns. So I don't know how they're gonna hold up with that. But you have Gunless and Octane on the back end slaying. I think they'll be fine. I think they're a well balanced team. In terms of middle of the pack, I do believe they will be better than Minnesota Rocker. I know that might be absurd, but I do think they'll be better than Minnesota Rocker. But I don't think they'll break that top 5. Maybe 6, 7, somewhere in there. Then you have LA Gorillas. This team is so weird for me. You have Silly and Vivid as your subs, Assault and Apathy. Apathy, actually, your sub. Again, this team, really other than Apathy, as like 100% your sub. Silly is kind of a slower sub. So that's a little concerning. And this might be completely different. I'm going off of Modern Warfare where you needed to slay out to win events. I don't know if it's going to be the same way. I don't know if it's going to be more tactical this year. Hopefully it is. But if it's going the same path as last year, this team I don't think will do too well. Apathy, yeah, he can show up like he can in champs, like he did in the past. But I don't know. Last year he wasn't playing too well. He's just so hot and cold for me. But then again, you do have a slower sub like Silly, so if it does come down to that like slower tactical play, they might have an advantage in that. So let's move on to Toronto Ultra. Oh, by the way, I think Gorillas will be at the lower end of the league. Not dead last, but definitely down there. Toronto Ultra, you have CleanX, Bance, Cammy, Methods, and then Insight on the bench. Again, it's just a solid team, you know. Cammy really proved himself last year. CleanX came out of nowhere. This guy's an amazing sub. I think he's going to be that X factor. The only thing I'm weary of is Methods as your main AR. I don't really think he has proven himself as a main AR. I think he's definitely solid, but I don't think he's like that superstar main AR that's going to carry you through events. So I'm a little weary of that. I think Toronto Ultra will be probably in that 6 or 7 range in the league. I don't know. I think they just have a well-balanced team, and they can't do terrible, you know. Then moving on, so this is actually not LA Optic anymore. This is LA Thieves. So right now, they have officially signed TJ, Kenny, and Slasher and Draza, but they don't have this 4th right here, and I don't think it's going to be Temp. This is just like an older one. This is what people were talking about. Don't think it's going to be Temp. It really comes down to who that fourth is for me. Slasher, maybe one of the best ARs in the entire league. Kenny, he is so aggressive. He can have just a fantastic year. He is that X factor. Again with TJ, they can really. It's really based on how they play as a duo. There can really affect how this team plays. But that fourth is the huge thing. I don't think Draza will play. I think Draza will be on the bench, even though he did prove himself last year. I think he will be on the bench as a sub. But I don't know who that fourth is. That's the thing that is the deciding factor for me. I can't make really a definitive statement until I see who that fourth is. The New York Subliners, you got Zuma, Mac, Hydra is there, and Clayster. I don't know, man. This could be so if Hydra develops into the player everybody thinks he is, this team could definitely be in that top 3. It can be FaZe, Dallas, Chicago, and Subliners in that talk. Honestly, that's just me. If Hydra comes into that role that everybody thinks he's going to go into. Because you have Mac that can slay out. You have Zuma. You have the veteran leadership in Clayster. This is just a well-rounded team. And I think it comes down to Hydra, how well he performs early. And that'll decide how this team really does. Again, they could be middle of the pack or they can be that top team. It really depends on how Hydra does in this environment and if he develops into the player everybody thinks he is. So then Florida Mutineers, I believe Havoc's going to be there. They have Awakening, unreal player. This guy exploded onto the scene last year. I really like that. Pharaoh, who kind of got stuck there with a contract issue. And then Skies. This team, I think, will fall. I know they won back-to-back events, but they did choke in champs, but they were a good team. They were like that top 4 team. I think they'll be not terrible, but I don't think they'll be middle of the pack. I think they'll be below the middle of the pack. I know they have Awakening. Awakening's unreal, but I don't think him alone will be able to carry this team. Pharaoh, I don't think he'll play with passion this year. He doesn't really want to be there. He wanted to go to the Subliners, and he couldn't. I think he just doesn't have that drive or passion to really play this year. Skies proved himself last year. Unreal AR. He can definitely hold it down. And then I think Havoc is coming back. Not 100% sure, but he can definitely hold his own in that sub role. So I do like that team. But I don't think they'll be good. Awakening can't carry that team all the way. And then London Ravens, you got Dylan, Alex, Nobody, and then Shawnee. Shawnee was actually the first to sign with this team. Again, it comes down to the fourth. I mean, if you get an Apex or a huge player like John, say, they can kind of explode. Alex has proven himself. Dylan has definitely proven himself in the past. Shawnee came out of nowhere this year, really proved himself. I don't know. It all comes down to that fourth spot. And then Paris Legion, I'm not even going to look into what he has on this graph because they just, I have no idea. They have no idea who they're going to pick up. I haven't even heard anything. I just saw that they got taken off the CDL website. You can't even view their team or anything. So I don't know what's going on with Paris. But due to that, I think they will be in last. They just don't have anything set up. They haven't talked about anybody coming there. Potentially Wuskin and Scraps maybe because they don't have a team. But then again, I have no idea. But yeah, that's my insights on the teams, the rosters, and how they'll do. Let me know if you guys like this. I will be doing another video next week on the CDL talking about different stuff in this field. I like this. Let me know if you guys liked it. And that's all I got for you guys. So I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know who your favorite CDL team is, who you're rooting for. And I'll see you in the next one.